Hello, this is Kevin, and want to welcome you on this beautiful morning to our daily devotional found in Proverbs chapter 1. Before I get into the text a bit, I wanted to share something. When I was 30 years old, I entered into, what we call corporate America. And I had never had a desk job up until that point in my life. And after about 6 months, 12 months, 18 months gone by, I realized I started packing on a few pounds. And even a few people had noticed, hey, Kevin, you're getting a little thicker. And it got pretty evident after a couple years I needed to start exercising or it wasn't going to be good. Well, it's very common when you start an exercise regimen to have a buddy to do it with you. It seems like there's some built-in accountability with that. Even many people who begin to be runners will find other people to run with. And first of all, it's good for company, but it's also good for accountability. And that's exactly what Proverbs 1 is talking about. Proverbs chapter 1, Solomon tells his son, he said, "My son, if sinful men entice you, do not give in to them. If they say, 'Come along with us, let's lie in wait for innocent blood. Let's ambush some harmless soul.'" Well, Solomon is all too knowledgeable about those who run in packs and that there are evil people in the world. We don't have to look very far from that. Now, one thing I want to say about lying in wait is that physical murder is not all in view here. That's certainly the case, and that's one of the 10 Commandments. But there's also verbal assault. There's also verbal assassination, gossip, and slander. And sometimes those can be even more devastating than the actual physical act of murder. It can be very, very painful of attacking someone. Those are things that we need to avoid like the plague. So Solomon tells, he said in verse 13, "My son, do not go along with them. Do not set your foot on their paths, for their feet rush into evil, and they are swift to shed blood." By contrast, Proverbs 13, verse 20, Solomon says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fool suffers harm." I think every time that we sit before the Lord and wait to hear His voice, I think one of the best things we can do is ask the question, where are we going? Whose journey is this? And more importantly, who are we journeying with? I've heard this a number of times. It's not a biblical phrase, but certainly a lot of accuracy there, is that in many cases we are the sum total of the 3 closest people around us. Now, if we look at the 3 closest people around us, there's a good chance that we're going to be much like them, have very similar standards, or in some cases lack of standards. But more than likely, we've chosen those people through the course of time for a particular reason. Have we ever thought about who are the 3 closest people around us? Are these people given to gossip, to slander, to laziness, to oppression? Are these people that are going to challenge us, that are going to love others, even what we call the unlovely? Are these people that are going to sharpen our iron, as Proverbs 27:17 goes? So who are we running with today? And I'm not just talking physically. Bodily exercise does profit. But godliness truly profits and truly blesses. And it challenges us. Today, evaluate who the 3 closest people are in your life. You and I might not really like the choices we've made, only because maybe our hearts were not fully into it. And by the way, neither one of these passages is saying that that once we decide to run with the Lord and with His people, that we're going to be totally separate from those who don't know Him. But far from that. There's nothing like that. This is talking about who we're running with, who are our close associates. Interesting, Jesus did not take all 12 disciples on the mount when He was transformed, but He took 3, James, Peter, and John. Has He given us a little bit of a paradigm for working specifically with 3 people? I really truly believe that He does. So today, however that hits you, let me just say this. Find wise people. Find godly people. Run with them. You might not like what they always have to say. In some cases, you need to find people. I need to find people that are not always going to tell us exactly what we want to hear. But they're probably going to tell us what we need to hear. So this is Kevin, and I hope you have an outstanding day. Continue to run with him.